get yours, nigga, cause I'ma get mine. Today gon' be a good day. Jack gon' keep it playing from the Genesis. As I'm blowing dope, being broke, my only nemesis. Remember when it wasn't all good, I used to reminisce. Felt like I was going through hell with no deliverance. Niggas throwing salt in the game, condoning ignorance. But when it's really in you, not on you, we know the difference. Nigga ain't no willing and dealing, we really killing shit. My brother passed a shooter like Luka, he gave me 10 assists. Nigga, I was Dennis before you knew what a menace is. Now I just spread love to these bitches, ho, I'm a feminist. Way they running back to the dick, they think they Emmitt Smith. No real player gon' break it, that shit be imminent. Yeah. Nigga, we was trapping out the tenement. Niggas ain't hard, they just loud, them niggas impotent. Ain't in it for the glory, my life story is intricate. Don't crash out for the money and watch the niggas you get it with. I say it all, cause I'm past the point that I'ma play with y'all. And as the president, I'ma have to revoke your player call. Don't think the nigga ever was real, and he gon' stay a fraud. Don't think a nigga bluffing is not nothing to break them all. Saquon, ho, it's not nothing to shake them all. With no street clothes on my bed, ho, better take them all. Just get that cheese, breaking that bread, and I can stay involved. Wanna look sweet in my side seat, got to pay the cost.
I got dope and cheese, I'm smoking G's. While I was scaling dope and weed, y'all been yelling broken knees. You gon' do it, baby, do it, gotta hold and squeeze. For real, it's cold out here, one of you hoes gon' freeze. Rob the reverend, call the blessing, hold your nose, don't sneeze. Poop, nigga. Oops, nigga. Pull up in that big shit like I'm too big for that coupe, nigga. Too legit to quit, no, I'm just too legit for you, nigga. Twin towers feel the power when we speaking, nigga. Cope like I was in the ghost with Tommy Egan, nigga. If your bitch looks suspicious, she probably creeping, nigga. If you heard this shit before, it's probably me. And don't ask me about no money, I'ma tell you, let me hold something. 60K and debt be walking around like I don't owe nothing. So and so got shot up, I just act like I don't know nothing. I call love, but we make a hit and this a home run. Clean up in the kitchen, we can't have no dirty dishes, cause it's roaches outside and we cooking if they don't sniff it. Took a shot in the dark, I just went for this shit. Why aim for the stars, go forward and get nothing. Somewhere there's a young nigga on the same thing. Suggested advice, I tell him do better. Baby mom pregnant, I was turning 18. Ain't even focused my mind to getting cheddar. So I quit this rap shit, quit chasing my dreams. Fuck it, get money off of hoes and the fiends. Fuck it, get money, then turn around, blow it. If I was my plug, man, I wouldn't even throw it. Maybe I would get money, you know it. Really had the city for some summers with the lows, yeah. Going down the wrong way, niggas getting smoked, yeah. I ain't even tell you about the times I was broke, yeah.
Are you ready for this?
All right. I like these hours. This is a time in which I don't know. I'm definitely at my most heightened. So this right here is just something nice and real quick. All right. I wanted to pull up for a moment, and I just wanted to go ahead and make sure that we remain in focus of what it is. Wow, let me make sure I get that up there. Oh, there we go. My mother's turquoise. Okay, so I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I thank you for watching this right here. All right. Respect to the family, respect to the family. Okay, people, so the time right now is 4:26 a.m. East Coast Standard Time. And I thank you all so much for watching. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to take these early morning. That's right, morning to you, depending on where you are. We're going to take these morning hours and we're going to go ahead and we're going to stay focused on what we should be. Now, what should we be focused on? Well, this. All right. being purpose driven. All right. This right now is a moment where we're just going to quietly and relaxingly, we're going to take time and reflect and get to know ourselves again. We're going to just think about ourselves. And that's what I want you to do. That's it. Just chill, right? Relax. Let's go ahead and hit some of this right here. Bow. Okay. And all I want us to do is just answer this question to yourself. Do not say anything out loud, only to yourself. Do I know who I am? Ask yourself that question to yourself inwardly. Okay. Most of this is going to be about you going inside of yourself. I see very, very often that a lot of us, we try to find who we are through exterior. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a video, and we're going to speak about this because this is something very, very, very nice to listen to. All right. And much respect to the family, and I appreciate everybody for watching. Okay, so we're going to listen to a very, very intelligent guy by the name of Carl Jung. Okay. All right. Life begins, right? Finding yourself. Okay. We just going to chill. We're going to ease our way into the week, right? And I think this is a good way to do so, right? Let's ease our way through this week, right? Okay. So with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. Let's go ahead and listen.
Imagine waking up one day with the disturbing realization that the life you've lived up to that point hasn't really been yours. Every decision you've made, every belief you've embraced, every desire you've pursued may not have been born of an authentic choice, but rather shaped by the expectations of others, social conditioning, and invisible influences that have been silently working on your mind without you realizing it.
How often do we pay attention to the subconscious as opposed to the actual conscience? The subconscious is a lot more significant than what we know. Let's tap back in, third eye open.
Have you ever wondered how much of your identity is a genuine reflection of who you are, and how much is a construction adapted to please, to feel accepted, and to avoid judgment? In this video, we explore one of Carl Jung's most profound insights, the journey to find your true self. We will discover how our beliefs, choices, and desires often do not originate with us, but are the result of external expectations and invisible conditioning. We will analyze the role of the persona, the mask we wear to fit in, and the shadow, the part of us that we repress.
Now, is that not something that is very interesting or not? I would say so. You know, we have this term nowadays, and that term is keeping it 100, right? Keep it 100. All right. Beautiful, beautiful. What I've noticed is that term is said, and I think it's something just out of like a comfort of something that majority of us know that we lack. And that's being 100% authentically just you. We are in a day and age of you are to conform who you are so that everybody is the same, but simultaneously in the very next breath, society will say that we're all unique, special, and different. This can play a very, very confusing role on your psyche, which then goes to the subconscious. So now subconsciously, although you speak a certain way, you present yourself a certain way, you still have many, many questions to even the things that you say you stand for, very much so. This can be the struggles of one who is searching for themselves. Let's keep going.
But most of all, we will understand what it really means to find yourself and why life only begins when we stop playing a role and start living in full authenticity. Before we begin, be sure to subscribe. Carl Jung, one of the greatest thinkers of depth psychology, argued that life truly begins only when you find yourself. But what does it mean to find yourself?
With Geico, we can easily bundle home and car insurance.
Exercise in introspection, or a more complex, profound, and transformative process. You should know that most people never ask themselves this question at all, and continue to live according to patterns that they have never consciously chosen. The result is an existence in which there is a constant feeling that something is missing, a silent restlessness that cannot be filled with success, with external recognition, or with the simple adaptation to the rules of society.
So, how many of us have felt as if there is some form of void, and you've been trying to figure out how to fill this void? Do you fill the void through finding someone to be in a relationship with? Do you fill the void of just continuously making sure that you're surrounded by, around people, places, and things, so that you never are around just you and yourself? Do you do it through distractions of maybe video games, or even food, or even indulging in narcotics and or alcohol? There will be many, many things that people will do to try to find themselves. And it's not going to be a fun road. And that's the point that I want to really point out. When I really got to the day that I said I love myself, that was the very day that I realized I had hit my lowest point, and I'm still here. And I was able to get up out of that. I was able to recognize that there was a purpose much, much greater than me. Now, the only way for me to have figured that out is for me to have gone through all of the hardship. A lot of people will generally try to use your hardships against you, when little do they know that is your greatest weapon. Because it thickens the skin. It brightens the spirit, believe it or not. I don't know what it does to your soul. That's different. But to your spirit, it brightens it. Why? Because now you are forced to exude more light. You see? So there's going to be many, many different ways in which one reaches that stage in which they recognize, you know what? I went through all of this for a reason. Why? Because, as we all know, pain is nothing more than weakness being abstracted from one's body. The time right now was 4:36 a.m. East Coast Standard Time. And I thank you all so much for watching. Respect to you.
This condition is the product of a process that begins in childhood. From an early age, we are taught who we should be, what we should want, and how we should behave. We are assigned names, identities, roles, and expectations. We learn what is right and wrong.
Now, this part of what we are given as far as name and identity, I do want to say we do also have to be careful how far deep we go in the thought process of this, right? Why do you say that, Smitty? Well, because when you take the time and you really think about it, right? What doesn't have a label and or identity? Last time I checked, God told us to even name the animals, right? So everything has a name. Everything has to have an identification to it. Why? Because we couldn't even begin to speak about what would be unique about us if we don't first have our own personal identity. So that is something very important, your own personal identity. let's keep on going. Respect to the family, and I thank you all for watching.
What is acceptable and what is not? This conditioning is so subtle and gradual that we rarely question it. Without realizing it, we begin to adapt, to change our behavior to gain approval, to hide parts of ourselves that are not welcomed by others. Over time, this process leads to the construction of a mask, an image of ourselves that we present to the world in order to feel accepted and integrated into society.
That is something that is very true. Now, there's another part of that, right? The whole constructing and wanting to be accepted. We are nature. Now, we may be a higher elevated form of it in intelligence, if you want to say, but we are nature, right? So even animals in nature know that there are certain things that must be done within the order of the school, the tribe, the herd, the flock, whatever, you know, the whole nine, right? Even animals know about hierarchy, pecking order, and acceptance. You know, it's the true stories about bull elephants that when you see them when they're rampaging through certain towns and cities, like in India and other places, and they just flipping over cars and they just mad and hitting trucks. That's actual depression out of either one of two things. Either they're sexually deprived and or they were exiled. You know, elephants, you know, it's a big study on that as far as them when it comes to not being accepted. And they will literally, in a sense, starve themselves to death slowly. They won't eat as much, and then they become weak, and, you know, then nature comes and, you know, takes it. And so I'm saying that to say that there is a connection when it does come to the process of acceptance and fitting in, belonging. The fact is that there are so many of us as humans for a reason. There are so many of us because we are supposed to connect. You see, we are supposed to have that connection. Now, with each of us, that connection will vary. Some, it will be a massive connection. And then some of us will have a small connection. The majority of us will have something right in the middle, which I like to call the field of balance. Let's keep going.
Jung called this mask the persona, a role we play, an identity constructed to meet the expectations of others, a filter between our true self and the outside world. The persona allows us to function in society, but it becomes a problem when we begin to identify completely with it, forgetting who we really are. The person is not only a social adaptation, but a survival strategy that develops from childhood. Every child quickly learns which behaviors bring approval and which instead arouse disapproval or punishment. This creates an unconscious selection mechanism. Some parts of the personality are expressed and valued, while others are stifled and forgotten. But there is an even more subtle and dangerous aspect of this process. The more we wear our mask, the more rigid it becomes, turning.
I would say briefly, I believe a lot of times also, like, now I don't know about childhood masking, right? The only thing I know as far as with childhood upbringing is give that child, right, the most comfortable environment possible so that they can just naturally, organically grow. Us as people, you know, we grow just like plants and trees do. So the better the soil, the root foundation, you know, the location, how much sunlight, how much rain, for whatever it needs, as long as it is well taken care of and nourished, you don't need to do anything but allow that tree or that plant to grow, right? So when you give it the proper environment, the proper nourishment, love, and care, It'll just grow on its own, you see. And so when we recognize that we actually are nature, and you will learn the most about our loving creator through what our loving creator has created, then you will know that there's a similarity in the growth of us as people. The development of a child should be the most protected and well guarded. That way, that child is able to go through all the little ups and downs of identifying who they are. And when you recognize that they have a certain interest in a certain field that is healthy, at least that is, right? Nourish that. Nourish it so that they can help figure out where they want to go eventually. And that's a big part of finding yourself. Now, that's when I ask people, how much of yourself, right, were you able to discover at what point? How much of yourself were you able to discover at what point? I asked that question because at what point did you learn yourself? I've come across a lot of adults. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I got the hiccups. I've come across a lot of adults who in their late 20s, 30s, don't even know what their passion is. There are a lot of people who don't know why are they triggered by certain things. Like, even if you do get triggered by certain things in life, are you able to identify where it comes from? That's very important as well. Very important, you say. Let's keep on going. Let's get back to the video.
Turning into a second skin that prevents us from distinguishing between what we do by choice and what we do out of habit. The illusion of the mask becomes so strong that we can end up building entire existences based on roles that do not truly belong to our being. Careers undertaken only for prestige, relationships carried out for duty, beliefs adopted only for conformity. Yet the body and mind give continuous signals when we are living a life that is not aligned with our true self. Chronic fatigue, persistent dissatisfaction, anxiety without an apparent cause. These symptoms are nothing more than our unconscious.
Now, have you found yourself just all of a sudden having some form of anxiety, or you're just nervous about something? You can't really even identify where is it coming from. Let's talk about that a little bit more right after this quick commercial break. And this quick commercial break is brought to you by Poisonous Petals.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Now let's go ahead and get back to the video. I thank you all for being patient. The time right now is 4:46 a.m. East Coast Standard Time, and I thank you all for watching. Let's get back to learning ourselves and ease our way into the week. Thank you all for tuning in.
Trying to tell us that we have lost touch with who we really are. But behind the person hides something deeper and often ignored: the shadow. The shadow represents everything we have removed from our consciousness, everything we have considered unacceptable, shameful, or dangerous for our public image. Fears, repressed desires, denied emotions, stifled impulses. Everything we do not want to see about ourselves ends up in the shadow. However, the shadow does not disappear just because we choose to ignore it.
And that is a fact. And what does that bring us to? The very term and statement, everything done in the dark comes to light. We cannot be upset if what is done comes to light. If it is seen, it's seen. That's something that's going to take place. We must know that when it comes to the acceptance, we continuously reach out. And when we reach out, we don't realize that we're already supposed to have our own trajectory reset. Why? So you don't have to go through this. In a nutshell, let's go.
It continues to exist in the unconscious, influencing our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in ways we often do not understand. When we react disproportionately to certain situations, when we feel irrational antipathy towards someone, when we repeat the same mistakes without understanding why, the shadow is at work. Jung argued that what we reject in others is often something that exists within us, but that we do not want to recognize.
Does that not bring us to a point that we would call self-accountability? Something that's very, very important for each of us. There was no way for one to get to that point where you do become. Until one has that self-reflection. Now, let's think about it. Even if we was to take it, let's say, to a biblical, right? Okay, so let's go to a biblical sense, all right? Now, with the biblical sense, every time I've heard that somebody has gone off to themselves, like, you know, the son of Mary, the Messiah, Moses himself, many others have taken journeys, and what they do is they go off into solitude. Why? Because that solitude for the wise one is an opportunity. That same solitude for the fools is considered to be torture. You must know how to go off and go into yourself. No external influences guiding what it is that you know your path is to be. Let's go ahead and get back to it. Now, before we do so, we are going to go ahead and we have to make sure that we get a good feel for the different perspectives of this, right? All right, we're going to get a good perspective of this. So I have another clip that I would like to pull up. Okay. So let me go ahead and get this all set. Give me 1 second. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Whoever may be here, I appreciate you. Thank you. So let's go here. I want to go back and to pull something else up, right? Okay. Now, this right here is going to be a little more, it's a little more different, right? Okay, so let's just see what we have on this one right here. So I just want to give different perspectives. I want to see what different people have to say. All right, so I want to hear what this young brother has to say, right? So shout out to, make sure you all go subscribe to, I think is Ron Hall. I mean, but it's like X Hall. It's like Ron X Hall. I don't know how he pronounces it. Maybe he'll say it. So we're just going to go ahead and just take this moment. We're going to see what we have. All right. So let me get past this commercial break. And now we are here. And I can pull this up. Cool beans. Now let's go ahead and do it. Let's just hear what we have, all right? Because I like to hear different people's perspective, all right? So we're going to give this a quick second, just a quick moment. Let's see what we got. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. The time right now is 4:52 a.m. East Coast Standard Time. Thank you all for watching. Let's listen to what the young brother has to say about knowing yourself and the different perspectives that come with this.
Nobody's watching. When there's not a camera around, there's not a person or a crowd that you feel like you have to impress, who are you when you're alone? The answer to that question is actually really simple, and because of that simplicity, most people don't even try to find the answer. Because of this, most people would die before they even find out who they really are. When you're alone, do you keep that same integrity that you portray online? Are you living out that fantasy that you created on social media? Are you living out that lifestyle that you're preaching to other people? Or are you just like every other insecure person who's trying to make their life seem like it's something that it's not? Most people in my generation, as well as myself, are probably a victim of this. But luckily for you, I'm going to teach you exactly how to discover the answer for yourself. And like I said, it's so simple, but so overshadowed. So I'm pretty sure.
Fair use, fair use, fair use. YouTube. This right here is for educational as well as entertainment purposes only for the sake of the broadcast. I thank you very much. The time right now is 4:53 a.m. East Coast Standard Time, and I thank you all for watching.
Or nobody knows it for some reason. But I'm going to sit down first. So. The truth is, you're probably not practicing what you're preaching. The highlights of the life that we see on social media aren't our true lives. That's just what we want to portray to others. So when I ask, who are you when nobody's watching, a lot of us just don't really have answers. One, because the noise and the constant distraction just distracts us from being ourselves, and even trying to figure out who we are is difficult in itself. But also because when nobody's watching, are we truly living the life that we want to live, or are we living the life that we feel like we have to portray on social media? So even if you are practicing what you preach, are you truly living the life that you want to, that you're promoting when nobody's watching? Like I said, the answer is most likely no. And there's a billion ways to fix and solve this issue that I'm going to explain later on in the video. But I also want to explain where this issue even comes from. Like I said, when nobody's watching, we aren't living out that perfect lifestyle that we're promoting on social media. So why do we lie on social media in the first place? So yeah, the obvious answer is that we want to put our perfect moments on social media because we don't want anybody to see our low points. But is that truly the real answer? In my own personal experience, I've noticed that most of this portrayal of who I wanted to be just stems from the fact that I'm trying to search for something that I wanted in reality. So I go on the virtual world and try to portray something I'm not, when the whole time I just wish I had that in my life. Social media is barely social media. At this point, it's like virtual reality. I can literally go on this video right now and preach peace, love, and positivity, and then go out and just kill somebody. Nobody's gonna know, and that's the crazy part about it. I will post my highlights on this channel consistently, and then the bad days that I have, nobody will know about it. So yeah, I feel like if you've been watching my videos consistently, then you know that I've been trying to preach a realistic lifestyle that I've been living. I've been trying to show my ups and downs, my imperfections, my flaws, everything in my life, yet still nobody truly knows the deepest parts of my life because I'm only sharing with what I want to share on the internet. We live this life about ourselves because we just want to be loved by other people. We're emotional creatures. We want to be loved. We want to feel loved. We want to feel good about that. And Mark Zuckerberg and all the other social media inventors create the perfect way to make people feel loved without actually feeling loved. It takes no effort to slide up on somebody's story and then show fake love. But nowadays it takes effort to actually talk to that person, have a conversation going, and actually compliment that person in the face. And it wasn't like that before. The love that we're feeling on social media is just filling the void that we don't have in real life. And yeah, it feels good to be loved on social media because at the end of the day, it's still a person, but it doesn't feel like a person at all. We get that instant
gratification. Is it possible this story is true? Yes, it is. You're right. It's fact.
Of somebody complimenting us, and then we just go on to the next person, wondering why our inbox isn't growing in numbers, wondering why we don't have enough likes on social media, anything like that. And it's just the obvious things like that that we're just not acknowledging for some reason. So back to the point, when nobody's watching, we realize that we aren't truly living a life that's entertaining for social media or a life that anybody's going to love because we don't think that. We're looking at the constant highlights of somebody's life. So the lowest or the average points of our life seem to be a little lower than it actually is. So when nobody's watching, you're just somebody completely different. You put on a fake heart persona. You put on a fake love persona. You put on a fake persona in general. And that
Is it possible this story is true? Yes, it is. You're right. It's fact.
truly isn't you. Everybody wants to have a life that can be put in a movie somehow, but nobody realizes that those movie characters also have their highlights shown most of the time. Nobody shows those movie characters just like sleeping with nothing going on, or driving to a store with nothing going on, or walking to class with nothing going on. They're only showing the interesting parts in their life. The same way on social media. And that's what we're trying to replicate. We're seeing it as a movie where if we saw a movie with a character just sleeping for 20 minutes, we're not going to watch the movie, and that's valid. We're going to think that that's the most boring.
Man, you know what's funny? I have many times just turned on IG and somebody's live, and I turn on the live and they're just asleep. The whole live is just them sleep.
Part of the movie. We think that for ourselves as well. We think that 20 minutes of downtime makes our lives something that nobody else would care about. But on the flip side of that, we also lie just for money. I definitely mentioned this before on my channel, but the YouTubers that claim to be self-improving YouTubers or claim to be self-growth YouTubers are guilty of this themselves. Think about it. Are you really going to take advice from somebody who seems perfect or somebody who is clearly flawed? We as people are probably...
Unfortunately, young blood, unfortunately, nowadays, people do have a weird sense of you are to be perfect. People want to find perfection in somebody else because maybe that will take the attention off of the imperfections of themselves instead of them just loving themselves enough to know I was imperfectly created for a purposeful reason. That was a tongue twister. I was imperfectly created for a purposeful reason. We have our flaws and we have the things that are our setbacks for a reason. At what point does anybody believe that you will be at a perfect state? So you're telling me that you will get to a point while here on planet Earth in your physical vessel that you will reach a stage in which absolutely nothing ever bothers you ever again. Nothing ever happens ever again. This will not be a healthy headspace to have if you have it. Why? Because you will now disarm yourself, because now you're not being realistic. You see? Now, before we get back to this, what we're going to do is we're just going to take a very, very short, quick commercial break from our sponsors. And this is brought to you by the Illusions of Reality. Respect to you all.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Let's get back to it, and I appreciate your patience. The time right now is 5:01 a.m. East Coast Standard Time, and I thank you all so much for watching. Respect to the family. Welcome to the Lighthouse.
Be more inclined to take that advice from somebody who is clearly perfect when the quote-unquote flawed person is less flawed than the actual people lying about the perfection, because they've developed that security in their lives where they feel like they can be honest about themselves and still give that information that could potentially help people. Whereas the people who fake a perfect persona are too insecure in their ability to be liked as a person, so they fake their persona for more money, for more validation on social media, for more clicks, and the people who buy into that are the actual victims. We don't want anybody to see that side of ourselves, because when we're alone and nobody's watching, we feel vulnerable. We feel like we are vulnerable. And honestly, we are, because our guard's down and we're not trying to act like somebody we're not. And you're probably thinking, just like I was, who cares? Who cares if you're putting on a fake persona? Who cares if you're lying about your routine?
Now, there is a difference, all right? There is a difference between what would be a fake persona, right? So let's make sure that we do not conflate, okay? In respect to the family, I appreciate everybody for watching. there's a difference between fake persona and making sure that you guard privacy. All right, because even just like himself, he said earlier, right? And I do get exactly where the young blood is, and much respect to his headspace, right? There is a certain amount of no, you just know that there are certain things that are between you and God. And so if I know that there is a certain amount of pain that I do have, I can't come up here and just display pain. That would make the people possibly hurt more, or that would make people be very turned off. The best thing to do is to go ahead and simply make sure that you transform that, and you do make sure that you show what I like to call resilience. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get to this last clip here, right? Okay, so this one right here is brought to my buddy. Definitely I rocks with this guy. My man Shimon Davis. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna see what my buddy got to say right here, right? So we're gonna get through a piece of this video as well. Then I'm gonna go ahead. I have to get myself ready for the morning, right? Got to get myself to work. I'm pretty sure you all do as well. So let's see what we have on this one. And with that being said, let's get through this commercial. All right. Let's listen to his take on knowing yourself, right? Now, this part of knowing yourself is the segment of, all right, if you really want to change. Now, you have to know yourself to even know if you want to change anything at all. All right. So we have to always keep that in mind. Know yourself so you know what it is you want to change, right? So let's go ahead and let's pull this video up. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. Respect to the family.
You have to let yourself go. You have to let go of the identity that's not truly yours. You have to let go of these people from the past, these situations from the past, because it's no longer important. Your true identity, what you really need, who you really are, is going to come from you embracing chaos, from you allowing change to happen, because through change, our true identity is shown. You know how we've been taught certain things about certain ways of life, or about certain people, or about certain music, or whatever it is. And then when you actually experience it for yourself, you're like, well, this is not what I was taught. They told me this was evil, or they told me this was bad, but I like it. Right? Because you're attaining your own experiences. So you are shaping your own reality by getting your own.
AKA, you are thinking for yourself. Just think for you. There's nothing wrong with suggestions. There's nothing wrong with advice. There is nothing wrong with good and great counsel. I always speak about it. But at the end of it all, still have your own head and thought process. Let's go.
Experiences. And at first, it's uncomfortable. Things are uncomfortable. It's just like a snake. A snake grows into a skin and it gets really comfortable. And then as it grows, it has to shed this skin and it has to rub against these things. For us, it's like rubbing against these experiences and going through certain things that help us break the mold of our old self. But if you never take that journey to do those things, then you're going to have that old skin laying around you, and it's going to itch, it's going to be irritating, and it's going to be uncomfortable.
Just like the itchy wool blanket in which I speak about. That is very interesting. I didn't know he would say that. I like the connection. Respect to the family. The time right now is 5:06 a.m. East Coast Standard Time, and I thank you all for watching. Welcome to the Lighthouse.
And you just have to allow things to happen. Water teaches us a lot. Bruce Lee said it best. You know, you put water into a cup, it becomes a cup. You put it into a teapot, it becomes a teapot. Water is still water. Whether it come from the ocean, whether it come from the sky, it doesn't matter. Water doesn't forget that it's water. Water does not forget the lessons that it's been taught, but it changes.
You know what's crazy? I literally just was looking at something. I was talking about water holds energy, and water actually remembers where it's traveled, I'm talking about through your body, all the way through a river, an ocean, everything. And I've been looking into that just a little bit more, because I'm going to be honest with you, as much as I do pay attention to life, I didn't even think of that one. I didn't even think of that one. But here it is. It makes sense, because water is what? The key to, well, we all know that, right? It's definitely the key to life. Let's go.
Changes based on its environment. You are a product of your environment. But the thing is, you can change your environment, and your environment starts here. It starts with your mind. Your growth and your destruction starts with your thoughts, because what you think essentially becomes what you do, and what you do will shape your reality.
That is very true. The number one thing that has helped me throughout my healing ever since my accident has been my headspace, my mentality, my attitude towards it. Because I have such a tremendously resilient outlook on everything that's still taking place, I somehow or another, I don't know how it happens, ladies and gentlemen, but somehow or another, I keep finding myself getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Now, the process of, like how he described, shedding that skin, sometimes it could be a little painful. It could sting a little bit, it could pinch, it could burn a little bit, it could hurt. Yeah, but once you get through that, and that next level then develops, it's even stronger than what it was. You shed it, right? It's like molting, even not just snakes, even like, crabs, and lobsters, crustaceans, they molt, that is something that is a very, very, very majestic thing to watch. Now, this is the thing about it. Scorpions as well, right? When they molt, it's like a certain period of time that they're extremely vulnerable. Now, I want you to think about that in the process of us learning ourselves and all the different changes that we go through during that time. We need to make sure that we keep in mind, yes, it will be something not comfortable. You won't understand it. You're going to have times where you're like, why do I feel so disconnected? But that's when you need to go ahead, tap into yourself and go off to yourself and have that moment of solitude to reflect on you as the Black Coffee King that you are. Let's get back to the video. The time right now is 5:10 a.m. East Coast Standard Time, and I thank you all so much for watching. Let's get back to it.
So the programs you've been taught as a child, as a young adult, whatever it is, you have to abandon those things that don't resonate with who you want to be. If you want to be the best version of yourself, you have to understand that, for one, that is a thought. You will never become the best version of yourself. But as long as you strive for that every day, you will be better than your old self every day. It's merely it's like a dream, It's
in a nutshell, young blood, I got you. I know where you are. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm thankful, oh so thankful, that I'm not where I was yesterday. And every day you're able to say that is another day that you know that you have made progress. Let's get back to it.
It's a vision. You have to keep chasing that. And while you're chasing that, you're going to be setting a standard for yourself every day. If you strive to be the best version of yourself every day, and you're better than your old self every day, then you're setting a standard that is getting higher every day, every day, every day. And you have to keep progressing, and you have to keep moving. But it is never said that you have to keep doing that until you become perfect. I want you to really recognize what's being said right now. It's not said that you have to keep doing this until you reach your pinnacle point in which you are at the top of a mountain. You can be at the top of a mountain, but not your mountain.
What does that mean? You will be at places in your life where you have reached massive goals beyond anything you ever thought that you could accomplish. But at the same time, you have to remember that once you accomplish that, you're always going to say to yourself, there's something more for me to do. Stay purpose driven.
Only possible if you allow things to change. If you hold on to the same things, you're going to keep going into that revolving door that just, never stops. You know how you go through these things and it feels like you always end up in the same place or in the same situation, but a different time. Where that could be relationships, that could be just life in general. I'm at a crossroads right now in my life where so many things are changing so fast, but those emotions in that last part of my old self is trying to cling on to me. So it's bringing up things that hurt me in the past. It's bringing up, little habits and things. I'm getting certain triggers. It's trying to pull me back into that loop, and it's just a test.
Exactly. We look at like if you're triggered of something or what have you, or if something actually reminds you of something, that's such a bad thing. No, it's not. It's not. It's really not. Believe it or not, your triggers are actually something that is a launching pad. It is actually something that is supposed to be what is your enlightening moment. Okay. Your triggers are actually is what part of what helps illuminate you, believe it or not. I know it sounds absolutely crazy because of how we have been accustomed, how society sees how we are to look at it. No, to be triggered by something means that you respond. If you pull a trigger, what does a gun do? It responds by, discharging the bullet, right? So I want us to really think about the word triggered. Boom, that means that you react. Now, how do you react? See, that's the part in which it all breaks down. Let's keep going. We got about another minute on this one, and I have one more short, and we're going to have ourselves a good day.
Because when you moving past these things and you own this journey to become the best version of yourself and to become successful and whatever that is, you're going to get these tests, and these tests are they're just tests. They're just trying to.
And what is the first 4 letters of the word testimony? What's the first 4 letters? You got to go through that in order to have a testimony, correct? Wow. Let's keep going.
To see if you are worthy of taking on this new role, this new journey in life, this new level, and you have to be ready for those things. You have to understand where they're coming from. It's just you wanting to be comfortable. This month was probably I'm not going to say worst month, but I've had better months, mentally, financially, whatever the case may be. I made some purchases this month. I bought a new car this month. I left my 9-to-5 this month. So all these things that are coming up, they are, outside of my comfort zone. I'm taking on new risk, but no risk, no reward. But as I'm taking on these new risks, now I'm battling with these past traumas, and I'm battling with these ideas and these emotions and all these things to make me uncomfortable, which would be very easy right now for me to lay down and just quit. But I refuse, because I know right on the other side of this little period of time, there's something much more beautiful, and I've already had a glimpse of it. So I can't allow myself to go back, because I don't want to miss out on the experiences. I've been on that side where you get a taste of freedom, and then you allow all that time and all that idle time and energy to be taken over by emotions and just the past in general. You being afraid of change, and you're not allowing things to happen for you. When if you just sit there and accept the things that have happened, and you stay in the present moment, and you continue to move forward, and you focus on what's important, everything gets better. But somehow it's just so easy to be stuck on nothing. We have a great habit at it because it's just so comfortable. But you gotta go outside of your comfort zone. You gotta step outside of the norm if you really want to grow in your life. You have to set your own programs. You have to set your own systems, and you have.
And that's what you have to do. You do. You know, I play these things, one, to make it very clear that there is a very much so large group of us out here, but we stay in the corners of the earth, you see, as far as in the cracks and the crevices, the clouds, if you want to say, the trees. Reason why, because as you can hear, the distractions of this life, you know, at times it's a beautiful thing to be distracted. You know, that's such the weird balance of it. It's beautiful to be distracted, but at the same time, the distractions of this life is what can keep one's spiritual equilibrium offset. It is so tough. When I tell you one of my largest struggles in this life, I would say definitely is staying spiritually grounded. Not letting the temptations of whatever it is that's out here, things to indulge in, staying spiritually grounded. Not molding and shifting so much to the point where you're not you anymore. Staying spiritually grounded is not easy, man. It's not at all. To really stick to your guns, that is not an easy thing to do, you know. So I recognize that, like, you know, that's something I'm right there with it. Actually get it. So knowing yourself. What do you know about yourself? What do you know about you? Who you are? And I mean, truly, you know, like we say, not just your name, things of that nature. No, who are you in your essence, your true form? Now, of course, I know that's something, Smitty. I mean, geez, you know, can we just start with me at least discovering what I like to do? Absolutely. Absolutely. Sit up before you crawl. Crawl before you walk. Walk before you run. Run before you fly. Fly before you soar. There is a process in order. But throughout that, we cannot skip steps. And we cannot be so distracted with what the world has to tell us of who we are. No, you tell yourself who you are. No one tells you what you're thinking. No one tells you how you feel about something. You tell the world what you feel. You tell the world what you're thinking. And what you do is you simply present it. Present it in a very, very much so majestic way, and then just simply step off. Just leave it there and go. Life is not about trying to convince people. I promise you, the more you try to convince people, the more you abstract your own peace out. And you know what? You actually give them peace, because now they're seeing where it is that you feel as if you have to explain yourself so much. And then people say, why are you explaining yourself so much? Well, because then they would think maybe you don't know yourself as well as you think you do. Then you know what happens? Those spirits get to go to play. Now let's go ahead and attack this, attack that, nip at this, nip at that, and see if we can get this person to come outside of, what do we say? Your body. Come on outside your body and enter into this realm in which you are still searching for you, and you're going to search for you through trying to validate yourself extra by trying to explain to us who you are. There's nothing wrong with an introduction. There's nothing wrong with giving people a nice little storyline of what you consist of. This is only in reference to continuously thinking that just speaking what you think people should hear and believe into the ether is what's going to bring you comfort or more knowledge about oneself. And that is not how that process is to go, nor does it work. The time right now is 5:22 a.m. East Coast Standard Time. We are going to go ahead. All right. I am going to take this last few minutes that we have. I would say my final thoughts. All right. So on this piece here, which I, really, really appreciate everybody for tuning in. Just make sure that you just catch the replay if you choose to. So now, my final thoughts on this is I genuinely have reached a point where I really recognize the only way for me to maintain any form of peace that I have in my life, the only way for me to continuously learn more about myself and grow, the only way for me to be able to maintain the patience to be able to even give what it is that I give, I must keep myself in a state of solitude for the sake of not being contaminated. And what do I mean by solitude? That doesn't mean not socializing. No, that means that I'm well guarded spiritually. I guard my eyes and ears and tongue from certain things to the best of my ability. All right. Keywords, best of my ability. And so now, 1 second, please, as we get ready to get on up out of here. Sorry about that. I was on mute. Respect to the family. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching another episode of A Purpose-Driven Man, brought to you by Mr. Seven himself. Respect. So we're going to go ahead and get on up out of here. So let's see what we got. And I will catch you all next time.
In this universe, there is one great energy, and we have no name for it. People have tried various names for it, like God, like Brahman, like Tao, and we're all one suchness, the yang and the yin. And therefore it consists of now you see it, now you don't, here you are, here you aren't, here you aren't. Because that's the very nature of energy, to be like waves, and waves have crests and troughs. Only we, being under a certain kind of sleepiness or illusion, and so when you find that out, you become full of energy and delight. And you seeing that all life is a magnificent illusion, a playing of energy, and there is absolutely nothing fundamentally to be afraid of.
Spiritual awakening isn't about becoming someone new, but about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. You're not here to fit in. You're here to wake up, to let go of what you're not and return to your essence. That inner voice whispering through the noise, that intuition that never lies, that light that never fades, even when it hides. Empowerment isn't about being invincible. It's about embracing yourself and your vulnerability and trusting that everything you need is already within you. You're not searching for answers out there. You're remembering you've always carried them inside.
You know